Seems like every day we're finding out something new, someone else, right? Recently, somebody arrived in Chicago O'Hare Airport, and two guys walked up to him and said, "Are you so-and-so?" And he said, "Yes, I am." They said, "We thought so. We've been waiting for you since 1850. God has to be God, or why are we following an imaginary item? If he can't be God, if he can't say, look, you guys can't finish your course until you meet so-and-so in the future. The Apostle Paul proved it to us. Death can't stop the plan of God. He was laying dead outside Ephesus. They stoned him to death. Now the Jews, when they stoned, they pushed a person off the cliff. And then if they moved, they finished him off with stones, but they always died. Not the Gentiles. It was rock heaving time. His body was disfigured. You know it was. He didn't like get hit with a little stone, go, oop, I'm gone. Right? He's all mangled and everything. But death can't stop true love, can it? Right? It was the likes of us. It was us, just like us. We just formed a circle, which is a covenant, formed a circle around him. He got up. All of his body went back together, and he walked into town with him. Right? What we are seeing, what we are witnessing, cannot be fabricated by any man's imagination. There's a group of people that a minister we're associated with. They've been called by God to pray. See, we've come to realize that if every church, every Christian does what God asks them to do, everything will be fine. If I try to be someone else, or you try to be someone else, or whatever, we kind of get like this. But if we all just do what we're supposed to do, it's all good, right? Okay? So, this group of people, is about 4 of them, I think, live in a mountain over somewhere near Nepal, but it's not Nepal, but it's in that area. And their longevity since the 1800s, they've been eating a substance that the person that saw it described as green looking. Do you know we're fast approaching a time that if someone died at the age of 100, he'd be considered a child? Aren't we starting to see that now? Aren't we starting to see that now? He's doing it now, isn't he? Right? He doesn't just like, okay, I can't wait till November 3rd because then it's going to all change. Doesn't it, the future bleed over into us? We're starting to see the realities before it's worldwide, right? Okay, so we do this because we love God. And we like to brag about him because he's fun to brag about because one of the things that I like about him, I have a list too long to start listing it, but one of the things I like is that he always blows my mind. I can't figure it out. I've tried, and I can't. So, so we're here talking about dreams. And we're talking about dreams because there's a sudden awareness of dreams. You can go online, you can look up dreams, you can find all kinds of lists of symbols. The people that aren't Christian list. Why is there that much on the internet? Because everybody wants to know what their dreams mean. 95% of America, or a survey actually is a representative of America. They didn't actually call everybody in America. A representative group of America said that they have had a dream that they believed came from a source higher and more powerful than them. God's talking to the world through dreams. There's no part of your life that's separate from him. There's no way in the world that you can ever be separate from him, ever. And like we said last night, if for some reason you could actually get 8 hours of sleep, that's a third of your waking state. By the time you're 60, that's 20 years of sleep. God can say a lot in 20 years. Right? You don't like check out of your relationship with God when you go to sleep? We like to think of it as we're a captive audience. I got no place to go but my bed. I'm too tired to get up. Keep talking. Right? Okay. So that's what we're doing. So last night we covered some things. We gave some examples of biblical examples of dreams of people that were in covenant with God. Jamin, when he asked me to come, wanted me to lay a biblical foundation for dreams. So that's what we're doing. I'm just giving you verses. Okay, it's 200 references in the Bible to dreams. Just saying. So I'm not going to do all 200, okay? Whew. Now, when you look in the Bible at people that receive dreams, no one seemed surprised in the Bible that God would speak to them in a dream. There's not a single reference in the Bible where they got a dream from God, got a dream and said, whoa, what in the world was that? Right? The church is not a collection of people that believe the same thing. That's what clubs are for. The church is the habitation of Elohim through the Spirit. HaRuach HaChodesh. Okay? The church is the habitation of God. What's a habitation? It's a place that you live. It's the house of God. God's presence is in the church. Now, some of us, myself included, some of us were taught, well, we don't get to know anything about God till we die. It was really sad because we really want to know more about him, but here I am exercising, eating the right food so I can live longer, and meanwhile I can't find out anything about him till I die. It's kind of weird. Right? So we found out that none of those things were true. So, the church is the habitation of God through the Spirit. And because of that, spiritual things should happen in a church. Right? So the spiritual things that happen in a church include dreams. We talked about this last night. You may think that you can disconnect from God whenever you want, but you haven't actually disconnected from God. Because he's here, and he's here. And he's here, and he's here. And if I go in the hall, he's there. If I go to Alaska, he's there. If I go to Turkey, he's there. He's everywhere on the planet. He's everywhere in the universe. He's everywhere in every dimension that he's ever created. He is everywhere. His presence fills everything that we can possibly know or have revealed to us. And there's still more to him because he has a place that's greater than the heaven of heavens, because even the heaven of heavens, which is everything, can't contain him. So, since that's him, and he wants to talk to us in dreams, that's not a weird thing. And so dreams aren't weird, okay? All right. Anybody want to look up Numbers 11:29? Swords in the air. Numbers 11:29. Anyone? Anyone? Go ahead, read it. Just read it. Yeah, thank you.
But Moses replied, "Are you jealous for my sake? I wish that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit upon them all." Sorry.
I have to tell you something in case you didn't realize this, but I'm sure you did. If Moses ever says, I would to God that, it's going to happen. Okay? So, if you were to get a Jewish book about, study of the prophets, they have a definition for prophets. Okay? So they want everybody, before they read the prophets, to understand what a prophet is. And this is their definition. What makes someone a prophet is that God has revealed himself to that person in one way or another, whether or not God commanded him to share the revelation with anyone else. Does that sound like average Joe Christian to you? Mm-hmm. Okay. One more. One who merely received communications from God might still be called a seer or a visionary. Okay? You probably know 1 Corinthians 14:31. You may all prophesy one by one. Anybody notice the word all? I have this idea that if everybody in church prophesied, the services would be longer than 59 minutes. Somebody want to get Exodus 19:6? Anyone? Anyone? Swords in the air? This is almost like being online because it's interactive. Exodus 19:6.
Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words that you are to speak to the Israelites.
Priests, prophets, a holy nation. We find out later on, because of what Yeshua did for us, there were also kings. Do you see? Every avenue that can be afforded him, he uses to talk to us. Not just talk, but commune with us. And us and him become intertwined. That our love is intertwined like a rope. And then in that intertwining, the rope is also knotted. And they that know the Lord, they that kavah, shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They will run and not be weary. They will walk and not faint, right? Okay, so We mentioned this last night. I'll just leave it up there and you can read it. We are living in an unprecedented time. There's nothing in the Bible that's even close to what's happening now. Because this is worldwide, and this has nothing to do with denominations. It has nothing to do with the plans and purposes of men. It has to do with what God has been planning from the Garden of Eden, from then. Because he exists outside of time, doesn't he? Did you ever notice in what we call the Old Testament, that when God prophesied the future, it was in the past tense? He's not waiting for things to happen. He's making things happen in the future like it was the past. Does it make your head spin? Me too. Me too. But it also does this. It enamors him to me. Because he picked me, like all of us. I'm talking about myself now. He picked us. He picked us to reveal his love in us. Man, it doesn't get better than that. I'm just saying. Okay. Genesis 40, verse 8. Is that already? No. Genesis 40, verse 8. And Daniel 2:28. Anybody want to do that? Or I could just tell you what it says. Do you want to do like a Facebook interaction kind of thing? Okay, so we got Genesis 40, verse 8. Anyone? Anyone? No? Okay. Okay. Yep.
Sorry, I'm going to read it in the Amplified if that's okay.
Okay.
And they said to him, we have dreamed dreams, and there is no one to interrupt them. And Joseph said to them, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me your dream, I pray you.
Who's interpreting 95% of the public that says that they had a dream that they knew was given to them by some unknown force? Who's interpreting that? If the church won't have the guts to interpret dreams, there's plenty of people that want to interpret it. If we want to say, oh, it's just a fragment of my imagination. Did you have some? Okay. Daniel, we can do Daniel too.
Daniel replied, no wise man, enchanter, magician, or diviner can explain to the king the mystery he has asked about. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
He has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in days to come. Your dream and the visions that pass through your mind as you were lying in the bed are these.
Okay. So, and again, what we're doing here is we're laying a biblical foundation for biblical dream interpretation so that we can understand that dreams are not coming from me. Dreams are not coming from my imagination. They're coming from Yahweh himself. And he crafts dreams for every single person on the planet every night.
Yes.
They might not remember it, but he talked to them. Nebuchadnezzar, you remember Nebuchadnezzar's dream? Do you remember his dream? What was his dream about? The Daniel interpreted. Can you remember? You can. What is it? It was the future of mankind, wasn't it? He had a dream that was so powerful. It was about the future of mankind, and he forgot it. Was it he forgot it because the dream wasn't important? Why did Nebuchadnezzar forget it? See, we're not going to be those people. The more you engage God in communion with Him, in soaking in His presence, in all the things that we do, the more you engage Him that way, the more you engage Him in dreams, you'll remember Him. If you have a dream and it seems stupid to you or it's short, write it down anyway. If you have a long dream, do your best to write it down or talk it into your phone. Right? And then what you'll find out is that over a period of maybe a few months, He's been talking to you about the same thing while you're sleeping. Okay? So what we're talking about here is a biblical foundation for dreams so that we understand the one that's giving us the dreams is the only God. A God that's mind-blowingly loving and powerful. All right? Okay, go ahead.
Why the Lord revealed it to him. He says, as your majesty was lying there, your mind turned to things to come, and the revealer of mysteries showed you what is going to happen. And as for me, this mystery has been revealed to me, not because I have a greater wisdom than anyone else alive, but so that your majesty may know the interpretation, and that you may understand what went through your mind.
See? He didn't go to the temple and offer sacrifices there. In fact, right? What did Daniel tell him? Elohim knows your thoughts. What's on your bed? When you're sleeping. You're thinking thoughts while you're sleeping? I thought I was just sleeping. No, your body's sleeping. But Elohim knows your thoughts while you're sleeping. Elohim is the revealer of secrets. And He's revealing to you, to the king, the thoughts of your heart. There's 20 different categories for dreams, and that's certainly one of them. All right? This is how you feel about this. Good. Thank you for telling me, because I've been trying to figure that out. Right? So, Elohim is answering the question that was on your heart. And so when we look at verse 46, dream interpretation brought an overwhelming awareness of God's nearness and power to the king. All right? So we're just giving you a biblical definition. We might do, if you want, we might do like a dream lab tomorrow night, if that's okay with Jamin. We could do that. We could try to put together some of the things that we've talked about. So when we leave, you'll have a sense of what to do when you dream a dream. And all right. You know the story of Pharaoh. Oh, did you get it? Yeah, there it is right there. Who can get it? Let me get it. You can get it. You know the story of Pharaoh, right? He has a dream about cows. Cows. He has a dream about cows. Some are fat, some are skinny. 7 cows are fat, 7 cows are skinny. They're fat, they're skinny, right? So, the ancient kings had levels of dream interpreters, people that could tell the future. They didn't just have a couple of wise men. They had levels. They had different philosophies and things like that. And so all the kings had different levels. So if this guy couldn't do it, maybe this guy can. And if he wanted to know about the future, he had all these different levels to go through. Okay, Pharaoh was the same way. They just had different levels to go through because they wanted to know whatever. Now, he has a dream. No one can tell him. So, hey, there's a guy I know that can interpret dreams. Let's go send for him. Oh, yeah, he was in jail. He was falsely accused and went to jail. Oh, he'll be the perfect one. But they were just looking for the truth, wasn't he? Pharaoh was looking for the truth. So he says, which we all know, 7 years of plenty and 7 years of famine. So I would recommend that for the 7 years you store up everything you can because you know that 7 years of famine are coming. Now we'll talk about ourselves for a second. America is the only nation in the history of mankind that has never had a famine. So, when he interpreted the dream, guess what happens? You know what happens next. Guess, come on, guess, right? What happens next? When the dream was interpreted, the presence of God exuded off of Joseph. It wasn't an intellectual interpretation. It was the presence of God that exuded off of him. And they just all looked at him and said, that's the guy right there. He needs to be in charge of it all. Right? Not just, hey, you got a dream. I know someone that can interpret dreams. Come on. Okay? So again, we're seeing the interaction of God in dreams. Okay? Pontius Pilate's wife. Remember? She comes to him, to Pilate in the middle of the night. Have nothing to do with this righteous man. I have suffered greatly in my dream today because of him. Now, did Pilate listen to the dream? No? I think it's pretty good if, I think we've probably all learned this by now. If he warned you, listen. So dream interpretation brought the awareness of the nearness of the power of God. Okay, so this is obviously from right up there, Job 33, 14 through 18. So we gave some examples of righteous people, people that didn't know God, didn't believe in God, believed in other things, and he's still talking. So one of the things that dreams do, one of the wonderful benefits of dreams, one of the wonderful benefits of dreams is the awareness of God. All of us have had to work through, I'm sure, we're still working through, the sense that I might feel separated from him. And I don't know why. I feel distant. Or am I praying right? Am I saying the right things? Am I praying long enough? Am I praying loud enough? Am I praying quiet enough? And, some of the stuff we were taught interfered with that sense of being close to him. And as we go on, and I realized that if he's talking to everybody on the planet about dreams, what's my beef? I got nothing. I got nothing but closeness, fellowship. We know the day of Pentecost, or in Hebrew it's Shavuot. It's the day that they celebrated the engagement of Yahweh with Yisrael. And that was re-emphasized, we'll call it. When the Spirit of Yahweh was there, there was a sound. Now, previous to that sound, there was a sound of murder in the city. They murdered innocent people. They excommunicated people. When a person was excommunicated from Israel, no one could help them. If they were starving to death, you couldn't give them a morsel of bread. They were willing to harm people. The city itself had the sound of murder in it. But on the day of Shavuot, there was a sound that came from heaven. And that sound changed the atmosphere of Jerusalem. And it was the sound of a wind. And it was so powerful that 3 million people heard that sound. And it changed the sound of murder in the city. And when that sound broke out, everyone heard it. And they knew where it was coming from. Everybody in the city knew it was coming from heaven and going to that place right there. So they all ran to that place right there. And what's going on when they show up? Hallelujah. I'm so glad I know Jesus. They looked absolutely, totally snockered. All of them. Now, that was my imitation of snocker, because I've never been snockered. That was just, so it might not have been that accurate. But I can get snockered in the Lord now. Okay? So, I tried, yeah, she knows, right? Like we would say in the 60s, now dig this. The first sermon in the church age begins with a denial that the men are drunk. This is our heritage, what everybody's afraid of. Oh, don't come to our church, we all get snockered. No, come to our church, we all get snockered. Right, because like we turn that on and off? I don't think so. Right? Have you made that place that you've said this to God? I'm not going to be the one responsible for how close I am to you. I will never tell you no. You're the one that tells me. I will never tell you I don't want to do that. So what does he do? He makes me drunk in public. I'm walking around Sam's Club. And I got to go get a price. And I come back. I can feel it now, right? And I come back. And on the way back, not in church like this, in Sam's Club, I'm walking back and Papa says, son, you've always told me how much you love me. I'm going to tell you how much I love you. I'm in Sam's Club. What was I just doing? Oh, I got to get a price check. He didn't care that I was in Sam's Club because I gave him permission. I don't really care. You want to tell me that you love me in Sam's Club? Do it. I can be at a restaurant. Tell me. Right? I don't have these little boundaries. God can't do this now because I'm in the wrong spot. Right? So this is where we came from, you see. This is us. This is where we came from. This was the early church. See, like, the early church was in a culture that had the best entertainment in the history of mankind. There was nothing better. There's no movie today that can come close to their entertainment. They had entertainment, baby. So we look at the early church, they didn't win everybody by entertainment. You know, one of my favorite verses in the Bible is in the book of Acts. 2 or 3 people show up in Rome. 2 or 3 of us show up in Rome. Not 100, not 1,000. 5,000 didn't move to Rome. Just a few of us showed up. And the response was, oh no. They that have turned the world upside down are in Rome now. You can just chew on that for a little bit. Isn't that something? That's us. That's my dad. Our Father. So what we see throughout the scripture is that from Genesis to Revelation, when someone had a dream, they knew they should pay attention to it. They should pay serious attention to it, because heeding dreams was common in the natural response of a dream. When correctly understood, dreams are a crucial key to following God. Okay? So, yeah. See, I'm doing pretty good. It's only 10 after 8. I breezed right through that. That's good. Yes, it is. Yes. He's helping me preach. Yeah. Yeah. So, anybody have any questions? You could have more than one. Because we got a little bit, right? Got a little bit of time.
I did have a question about, like, it's in Leviticus always talks about the stars.
Okay.
How God put signs in the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there is like teachings you can listen to where it's just basically the gospel is all written out in the stars, which I believe, you know, God puts the messages.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know if this connects with the other one, but I was talking to Debbie yesterday about observing the feasts, the Jewish feasts.
Mm-hmm.
How important is that today, honoring them and keeping to them, or, you know, what is your opinion on that?
Short answer.
I know. I guess because in the stars it talks about how you're supposed to
Because
observe all of the signs of the stars which correlate to the feast.
right.
And so
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, now,
that's how I made the
Right.
connection. Sorry.
Yahweh created everything that's in existence. And he told us the order that he created it in. And we look back at that, and even our science is overwhelmed by what he did. Right?
Yeah.
I could hand us the most brilliant scientist on the planet a blade of grass and say, you got 70 years, make one. And he can't. Right? So, he created everything that's in existence. Every thrones, dominions, principalities, and powers, even that he created. The devil doesn't have any power of his own. It was given to him by God, and he's abusing it. Which, you know, answer for. But he made it all. And then he says, after he makes Adam, he says, Adam, Come here. Spend the day with me. Do you get it? Spend the day with me. Come on, spend the day with me. I don't know how long ago it was, but we used to meet every Friday night. We scheduled 7 to 11. And we would just be caught up with Papa. Some of my greatest encounters were then. Not the only ones, but some very powerful, powerful encounters with him. Sometimes we'd start at 6. Sometimes we couldn't wait, we'd start at 5. Sometimes we didn't want to stop at 11, we would go to 12 or 1. There was just... And then I realized it was on Shabbat. And I said, I love you, Papa. And when I get close to around 6, or what, because it's based on the sun going down, my inside's doing cartwheels. It's me and Papa. Now it's Debbie and Papa too, but it's me and Papa. He wants to spend time with just me. And we've been taught about work and stuff like that, and, you know, rest and all of that. Look, you're the focus of this day and nothing else is. So because of that, he's the one that gave Shabbat to man. Man didn't decide to set aside a day. He's the one that gave us 3 feasts. One of them is Sukkot, feast, what we call a Feast of Booths. It's probably when Jesus was born, because he tabernacled among us. Certainly wasn't December 25th. Right? So I lean more toward somehow doing that. I don't know how to do it. But if he gave it to us, I want it. If he says it ends, it ends. Right? But there's a lot of things that he said, this is it forever. He said, my name is Yahweh forever. Right? So I can call him that because he's my dad. Right? So that's his name forever. So me personally has nothing to do with Jamin, and he may totally disagree because we've never talked about this, but that's what I lean toward. So he can fix up whatever mess I make when I leave, okay? I lean toward it like when we have New Year's, everybody gets drunk and does debaucherous things on that night, right? But the New Year is a year that we look forward to what's God going to do. That's completely different, you see? So, okay. So, you know, Pesach, you know, Feast of Matzah is what they call it, because they don't have, bread with leaven in it for 7 days, you know. It's awesome. When you realize that when Jesus was crucified, 3 days after the beginning of that feast is the Feast of First Fruits. So Jesus knew the exact year that he must be crucified. Because if he's crucified on Monday, 3 days later is not, do you see? It's not the first day of the week. So he has to be crucified what we would call Wednesday, but I won't get into all that. Wednesday, Thursday, and rises, okay? Now, that was important to Papa. He did that. I didn't do that. He picked the exact time. He spent, you start looking through the Gospels, all the time that he spent trying to keep, not trying, but keeping the devil from killing him too early. When I was in Israel, I went to the brow of the hill where they were getting ready to throw him out. Now, this is 2,000 years later. There is a lot of garbage they've thrown over that for 2,000 years. But if you push someone off, even today they die. Because they were stoning him, because that's how they stone. They push him off, right? And then he does this thing that blows everyone's mind. He passes through their bodies. I didn't write it, I just believe it. Right? He passes through their bodies. Whoa, how does that even happen? Okay. So, things are important to him, and if he considers it important, I consider it important, and that's where I'm at. So whatever, I presume it would be okay for me to just answer that, or maybe I should have done it in secret, because are we still on the web? Right. Yeah, she's like, no. Yeah, okay. No, but you see, what it really is, it's not a law or a rule obligation. It's something, if he likes it, I like it. Right? Because it's not about me keeping Jewish feasts, because the Jews didn't invent that feast. Yahweh did, Papa did. Right? So he's got times that we can all get together. Right? If that's why when there was the ketubah, and we call it the Ten Commandments, the first four have to do with our relationship with God, each individual. And then the last ones are, y'all have to learn how to get along. Right? Okay, so you don't steal from your neighbor, you don't kill your neighbor, you don't do those things, right? Right? So, because that's part of being able to be next to him. We're not like the rest of the world. So maybe I shouldn't answer that. I should have maybe just waited till we were offline. But it's too late, y'all. I answered it. Okay. I love Shabbat. I love it. I love the time. My insides start leaping for joy when I know that we're getting close to that time. He's always there. He's just always, I met my angel on Shabbat. I met some angels that used to play music with me on Shabbat. I mean, that was on Shabbat. Right? I've met all kinds of people on Shabbat. I'm just saying. Had encounters with him. Right? Anybody else? Okay. Sure. Okay. We're all good? Right.
So my mind's thinking, well, why is this? I'm having a block there.
Okay.
I understand fully what that.
Okay. Did you? No. I just just say it one more time.
Comes from the Lord, and that we seek the interpretation.
Right?
If somebody else has to, like in the example of, that was a non-covenant person. So it was somebody who didn't have a relationship with God, and they didn't have that divine connection. And so it would be necessary for somebody who knows how to have a revelation. And one of the things that we have seen and been watching over the last several years are whole groups of people being trained and understanding how to yield to the Spirit, and learn how to hear from the Holy Spirit, to interpret things. And we've seen where entire groups of people would be trained to go into the mall and be in the mall and have a little advertisement for dream interpretation, or they'd be walking up and down and the Lord would give them a foreknowledge, a word of knowledge. Somebody has a dream, and they would go over to that person and say, hey, have you had a dream? Because God's already spoken to them. And sometimes they had the ability to know what the dream was ahead of time, like we saw in Daniel and things like that. And they ministered to that person based on the revelation and the understanding and interpretation that God gave them about that dream, and they ended up getting saved because they were a non-covenant, person.
Right.
As a person is growing and beginning to have dreams, and they don't know how to find the interpretation or to ask, because I think sometimes we, like Pastor Bruce was talking about last night a little bit, we kind of overanalyze instead of just relaxing and letting the Lord just show us and learn how to ask questions. I was sharing with Jamin and Kim last night. My experience with the Lord is that He's always talked to me in pictures, and I just figured that's how God talks to everybody. So if I'm in prayer, I'll see pictures and I'll see images and things like that. And I didn't know any better. That's how God, because we're a picture people. Pastor Bruce has done before with our group. If he says the word car, we normally don't see see AR in our minds, we see the picture of however that
And that's how it's stored.
however that
Yeah.
gets, related to us. And so God, a lot of times, talks in pictures, and he gives you the understanding. And when I first really began to focus and go after God, not go after him, but I'm going after him.
Saying yes, yeah.
And in the process of seeking Jesus and loving Jesus and wanting to grow in Jesus, I'm beginning to have visions and dreams and things like that. And at first it's like, oh, wow. And I would go and tell Pastor Bruce, I saw this, or the Lord showed me this, or I had this kind of a dream. And at first we just don't even know what to do with it. Don't know what to do with it. And then the Lord started helping me to realize, to ask, why are you showing me this? What does this mean? What do I do now that I've seen this? Okay? Several weeks ago, we were having praise and worship with our group, and I saw an angel in our midst. I've seen angels before, but I never saw an angel like this one. This angel was gold, head to toe, everything about him was gold. And it was the most beautiful thing that I'd ever seen. And I asked the Lord, who is this angel? Why is he here? What are you showing me? Now, in times past, I hadn't done that before. I just saw the angels and enjoyed the fact that I saw angels. But the Lord spoke to me, and he told me what the angel, who the angel was, where it had come from, and what its purpose was. But in my immaturity in the beginning, I didn't know to ask those things. So now I'm learning and growing and asking why. Why? That helps. Yes. And then the other thing, I don't want to steal his thunder, but
She did.
one of the other things that I have encountered in dreams, that not only are dreams, some of the things that he's gone through, I've been trying to make a list of all the purposes and all the things that God's doing in dreams. But the other thing that I don't think you touched base on yet are sometimes dreams lead into encounters, that they're not always a dream. You can begin in a dream and actually have an encounter with the Lord while you are asleep. And it's not just a dream, but it's an actual encounter with God, or actual encounter or interaction with angels. So, this is what God's bringing us into, and he's bringing us into it for a reason, just like we've seen in some of these examples. It's for foreknowledge, a forewarning, a revelation about who he is, how he loves us. He wants us to learn this so that we can minister to other people. Y'all saw me get up and walk out a minute ago. There was a little old gentleman who had some kind of a physical ailment, and the Lord told me to get up and go talk to him and pray for him. Now, he didn't want to be prayed for, but I got his name. He wouldn't let me pray for him. Well, I'm not a religious person. And I'm like, well, Jesus isn't religious either. I'm not religious. But the Lord put on my heart, I wanted to bring him in. He's like, no, I got to go home. I'm not a religious person. And he was really uncomfortable, and so I wasn't going to push him, but I'm like, well, what's your name? Because Jesus wants, he wants me to pray for you. And he wants you to know how much he loves you. And he's not religious either. And you just, can talk to him. And he loves you very much. And, I said, can I pray something in particular for you? Do you need anything? And he's like, well, I'd like to see world peace. And I'm like, well, we'd all like to see world peace, But you see, so as God's helping us to grow and to understand these things, he wants to minister to others by the love of God, and he does it with the supernatural.
Okay.
Because we are the church, and we bring the church out to wherever we go.
Right.
It's in our offices, in the grocery store. We've had people stop us in the grocery store that Pastor Bruce has had the ability to lay hands on and pray for or minister to them. I've had people come up to me that I don't know. Oh, the Lord, just, and give them a message, to give me at the right time. So it's all of, these things. So sometimes it's in the dreams, and, so we just begin to ask questions.
Right.
Ask questions, yeah.
They get them all
Yes,
last night.
yeah.
all-
And you
Sure.
write them down, and you begin to ask. And one of the things I think he's going to help tomorrow night with doing the lab is the kind of questions. Why this and why
And not
why
that.
not that?
Why this and not that? Things
Why
like
this
that.
and not that? You know, I think he was talking to somebody yesterday about, if you look at the dream as a story, what is the dream telling? What story? Yes, okay, yeah, he was sharing that with me. What story does the dream tell? You know, and you look at the things that are in it, what story is the dream telling? And,
And, you know, it's like in line with what Debbie's saying. Many people are dismissive of dreams. They don't put the importance on it that God puts on it. And so there has to be a place where we all dreams. It can't just be you go to a person. You learn yourself how to interpret dreams, because we've been dismissive of dreams. We didn't think they had any value. We thought they were just crazy thoughts of our own mind. And meanwhile, Papa's a spirit. We can all see in the realm of the spirits. Probably all of you have seen something in the spirit, right? So that's the way it is. And we were just dismissive of dreams. And we're not elevating dreams above anything else. Our heart is that everybody learns to interpret dreams, so that you run into someone in the store, you interpret their dream. When dreams are properly interpreted, the person that had the dream will then forget it. If the dream has not been properly interpreted, they'll remember it. I know a group of people, like Pastor Debbie was talking about. They wanted to do a dream lab in a mall, and the person that owned the mall said, "No, you're a Christian. We're not letting you in here." And they said, "Well, we do dream interpretations. I don't think that's a threat." And the girl says, "Okay, I'll tell you what. I've had a dream since I was 5. Tell me what it means." As they started to interpret the dream, the lady started sobbing. She drops down behind her desk, and she's sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. She had that dream since she was 5. She was in her 40s, I think. Had that dream since she was 5. The interpretation was correct. And she got up and she said, "Well, you can have dream interpretation from 9:30 at night till 10 o'clock when the mall closes." But that's all it took. That's all it took. Give us a half hour. Because we can bring God to you, right? And so it was kind of dismissive. Dreams have just been, that's just a dream. How many times have you heard that or said, "It's just a dream. Crazy, it's a crazy dream." Dreams aren't crazy.
or you had a dream that you did something wrong.
Yeah, pizza. Yeah. That's just a pizza dream. Right. I'm by myself. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think we're good, right? Okay.
Yeah, so I think you might have answered it, but okay, so I think you did answer it. So dreams that you have even that long ago, what if you get like a partial interpretation of it, you don't get full interpretation? And that dream, God has something for you to do. Does the time ever pass in that you were supposed to do it?
No, because it's like this.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. All of your days were written in your scroll before any one happened. Okay? So, he gives you the dream here. It's about your future. Didn't get it. Got it now because he planned on you having it here.
But what if it's for somebody else? Like, what if you were supposed to give a message to somebody and you never did?
Then there's somebody else. Because the whole thing's about Papa.
Then somebody else will.
Right. Now, we're not going to be children. I'm not calling you a child. Okay? You understand? I am absolutely not doing that. But we're not, because you know how kids say, "Well, if I don't," yeah, right. So it's not that. But our faith is in Papa. And so if someone doesn't get it to me, someone else will. And if I, for whatever reason, didn't give it, I repent of that, and I ask him to send another laborer. Do you see? And then I'm learning. And instead of me being afraid of making a mistake, I make a mistake. If I have to apologize to the person because I prophesied wrong, See? Like when we teach prophecy in the groups that we're associated with, when you teach prophecy, it's with people that you know. So they can be easily corrected. You added to the prophecy what you thought the interpretation was. That's why it was messed up. You only say what you hear God say. You don't add to it, right? And that's in a loving environment. That's not in an environment where, thus saith the Lord, it's got to be the Lord now, that kind of thing. So dreams are the same way. Us learning how to walk in the Spirit is the same way. Our hearts are open to Him. We want everything from Him. And so I'm willing to be trained. I'm willing to admit when I make a mistake. Now, I'm not setting out to make a mistake. But if I do, I repent. You see what I'm saying? It's like that. So somewhere along the line, I learned I really love repentance. Okay, so last night I suggested that, because everybody was so interested in stuff, that maybe we should go out to a restaurant somewhere, but then there's no restaurants. So, they all close, right? So, we just want to be able to spend time with you, of course, with Jamin, not separate from him, but be able to spend time. If there's questions or whatever, we'd like to be able to do that as well. So, yeah, we're thinking about doing a dream lab, which someone has a dream that hasn't been interpreted yet, and you can write it down and bring it in, and then we'll all go through it. And we'll show you how to. Yeah, okay.
Do you write them down, or you just read them? No, I write them down.
Yeah. It's actually, it's not hard to interpret dreams because we have the Spirit of Christ in us.
And do you think when, I know that there's observation dreams, so when you're observing somebody doing something
Mm-hmm.
for them, okay, for like example, my brother who is kind of black sheep, he like chose to separate himself from the family.
Right.
And I had a dream, and it's been like a year. I saw him flying an airplane. He was a child, and he was flying an airplane, and I felt so strongly that I needed to call him and tell him this dream. But he had, he doesn't really want any communication with the family. So
Yeah.
I feel like I dropped the ball and I should have done it, and whether he received it or not wouldn't have been on me if I would have just been obedient and done what I was supposed to. And then, time goes by and you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know if it still counts, and I don't know if I should.
Yeah, sure. It's not. Should we just end this since it's? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let me just answer this offline.